Hello, welcome to the KitChat, the official podcast of the Kitroom Collective magazine, the magazine where we talk all things football and fashion. Today, we've been hosted by the lovely Fox and Duck in Sheffield in Broom Hill. So if you're ever around in Sheffield, be sure to check them out. Now, to begin, I'm going to introduce the team. Sid, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, very, very well. Looking forward to this. It should be good.
Taylor, how you doing?
Hi, mate. You're right. Very good. Very good. Very eager to crack on and get this wonderful episode underway.
Amazing. Now, I'm going to go to you, Taylor, first. Just to sort of give the viewers a bit of a background as to what we do as a podcast, but mainly more so as a magazine at the Kitroom Collective.
Yeah, so the Kitroom Collective is a football fashion-based magazine, and we look to explore that intersectionality between football and fashion. I mean, there's so many people around the world that love football, and I think what we aim to explore as a magazine and as a group and is that distinction between, or that connection between football and fashion. Kits, boots, scarves, tifos. There's so much culture that goes into the fashion that comes with every single football club, but not just the football clubs, but also the fans, the cities where these clubs are based. There's so much that football has to do with fashion, and that's what we aim to explore with this magazine.
Now, I think a really important thing that you touched on, which is football boots, football kits, scarves, which is, a really big distinction that we want to make. It isn't just about kits. It's also about the topic of discussion today, which is football boots. And where better to start than discussing our very first football boots. Let's get a bit of nostalgia going. I'm going to start with you, Sid. What was your first ever pair of football shoes?
Yeah, so my first ever boots, I do remember them. It was an unintentional choice. So it wasn't my first choice. I remember funny enough, I was in Barcelona in about 2010. The 2010 South African World Cup really got me into football. So I remember I was obviously being an Arsenal fan. Cesc Fabregas, favourite player at that time. So he was wearing the it was sort of like navy/turquoise blue CTR 360s. So I was really eager to get them. So I sort of pushed my mum to get into the Nike store in Barcelona.
Poor mum.
Yeah, so
You used your mum in to get
reluctantly she agreed. So we went into the Nike store. Yeah, started begging for them. I don't know what size I was, probably like size 1 at that time. But they didn't have the CTR 360s in my size, so it was
7-year-old Sid was.
Yeah, I was heartbroken.
47.
I got. So I decided to get the sort of cactus green mercurials.
Okay.
Oh, right. Okay.
Looking back, they would not be my first choice, and they look pretty woeful. But I do remember them as my first boot, and to be honest, if I could get them again, that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, mercurial vapors, they weren't the vapors, but yeah, some mercurials.
Yeah.
Now, I'll be honest, I think I've topped you with this one, but it's actually a pair of Umbro red and white boots that Mika Richards wore in 2012. So if you can top that, Taylor, be my guest.
I can't. Mine's more of a rags to riches storyline, if you would. So my first boots were actually a pair. So I started playing football really late. Right. So I was like year 7, year 8 that I really started to play football. And the first boots I remember distinctly having were I believe it was the Adidas, I think they were the 15s or 16s. Like there was the blue colorway, not the ones that accompanied the laceless, but they were the blue colorway with the sort of like green fading into white gradient on the Adidas logo, like the 3 stripes. And
the Euros ones.
I think they were them ones. I know Gundogan had them, but my mum actually got them for me because they were in the lost property of the school she worked at. So, I mean, a free pair of boots, to be fair, and they lasted me for about 2 years. So I've always got such a fond memory and a fond recognition towards Adidas and those boots particularly.
Are they the X's?
I think it would have been the X's. Yeah, you're right. It would have been the X's, but they were brilliant.
Now, I think the interesting thing about boots is that over time it's evolved incredibly. I think, we're not going to go all the way back to the 1800s where they were basically just worker boots. But our actual topic of discussion today is a little World Cup, basically, where we've got 16 classic boots, some not so classic, in there, and we're going to basically decide which one wins the best boots of all time. Now, the structure structure of this is basically a round of 16 structure. Whoever wins go through to the
It's a
quarters.
bracket, isn't it?
Exactly.
Battle it out.
Yeah, and I actually took this very, very seriously. I put it into seeds to make sure that there's even. There's even.
I can't believe you seeded it. That's insane.
It's a commitment to the cause.
All right, no, I rate
coalition
it.
going on here.
Yeah,
This is a
exactly.
proper brand.
Yeah, I mean, look, if we're gonna do if we're gonna do a Boots World Cup, we're doing it properly.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, first matchup, boys, is an interesting one. Well, potentially, Predators versus Glitches. I don't think that's very interesting, if I'm being totally
I
honest.
think-
No,
I
yeah,
think
you
there's
say it
quite
back,
a-
it seems
I think-
one-sided, but...
I think you could see that it's been seeded because that is a bit of a.
That's quite an Arsenal
It's a bit of a
PSV tie,
whitewash,
that
I
one.
think. Yeah. I mean, there's only one winner. Like the glitch, I just think, just a hype job.
I
Wasn't
thought you were
it?
saying the glitch won there.
Oh,
Like,
no,
one
no,
winner,
no,
the
no.
glitch.
No, I think the glitch was probably just it was a failed hype job really. I mean, I remember in 2016, 2017, 18 when it was sort of it had so much hype, but like it says a lot when like hardly any footballers actually wore them. Like I can't think of a single pro, maybe no, it was even academy when Reece Nelson wore them. Like literally, I can only think academy players worn them. Yeah, I mean, it was really weird because they were like two.
Wasn't it like they did a pop-up store?
Yeah,
thing?
there was a weird advertising pop-up store featuring Heady One or something that Adidas did. So, but I don't know. It was like two. It was like an outer skin, and it was an inner skin and an outer skin.
Look, I will appreciate the effort that they made to make something different, but sometimes it works, other
I mean,
times it doesn't.
it did look
so-
really cool. They had some crazy designs.
It was an interesting idea. I know the F2 did a video with it as well, where I think it was Jeremy Swaz-Lynch had a little play around with the boot but it was kind of like the inner and the outer sock. That was kind of like
Yeah,
the
but I mean,
whole deal with it.
You couldn't buy them any retailers. You had to be on the
Yeah.
app to get them. So
It's
it
a
was,
cool concept.
Yeah, I suppose I think if they did it today, it might do a little bit better because it would be easy to build that hype around it. But yeah, I can only say there's only one winner, really, isn't there?
Yeah, in all honesty, I don't think we need to say much about the Predators up until they come up against what I would describe as a worthy opponent.
Yeah.
Now, the next one I
definitely.
do think is a little bit of a closer one, which is the Mercurial Superflies versus the Tiempo Legends.
I think that's a really tight one, to be honest.
Yeah, they're both.
That's a
nuts.
seed right there.
I'm leaning towards the Tiempo, to be totally honest, because
Yeah.
I mean I'm sure we can get into this later more, but I don't think. I think the Superfly isn't as good as the Vapor.
Oh, really?
Mercurial Vapor. I don't. Yeah, I mean the sock obviously so much hype. You think about the Switch advert, and it was really cool, but it doesn't really add much to you. It's not really performance enhancing. as
No,
meant
it's
to
not.
do.
You're right. I think it's one of those because with the Superfly, there's so many like fantastic colorways, and that boot is so synonymous with Ronaldo.
Yeah.
That you've got the bright pink ones he had. He had the gold and white ones. He's got those red and black ones, who I think, in my opinion, are the creme de la creme of the actual collaboration between the two. And I think that boot is actually really, really nice. But I don't know. I think it's a winger's boot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really. Whereas the Tiempo, from all accounts, I've never owned a pair myself, but from what I gather, they're extremely comfy.
Yeah, they are very
and
comfy.
they're really well made. That
Well,
sort of like
the thing
leather
is,
out.
I
is
did have one
beautiful.
pair, and they the sole plate sort of eroded within like 1 week of wearing them. So I was like, yeah, that wasn't.
That's not ideal.
So yeah, there was a massive gap between the sole plate and the boot, which made them pretty unusable. But I'm sure that was just
How
a
long was
defect.
that after owning them? Was that only like
yeah,
a week
like
or
a
so?
week. Yeah, like first couple times I wore them, they just split. So yeah,
Did you get them second hand, or was it?
No, it was brand new.
Oh, Christ.
I'm just gonna say it was a defect. I hope. So I'm not gonna let that just cloud my judgment. Obviously, you say the Superfly is a winger's boot, so it totally is. The Tiempo I find really funny because obviously it's very much marketed towards a defender. Obviously, the leather makes it pretty tough and durable. But I was looking at who wore them. Obviously, you got your famous defenders, your Van Dijks, your Ramoses, your Thiago Silvas, your Gerard Piqués.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, there's a couple other players that stood out wearing them.
Go on.
One was Ronaldinho, which obviously just stands
Yeah,
out from
Tiempos.
them. Like,
Yeah, he would have done, yeah.
I'm mental.
The other one was Andy Carroll.
Oh, wow.
He wore the Tiempos.
The best of the best.
Forget
Has to be
Ronaldo.
said.
Why didn't you lead with Andy Carroll? That's
Yeah.
my question.
Hero on
Another
Tyneside.
cool thing about the Tiempos, though, they did a Ronaldinho crossbar challenge video.
Oh, yes, that was
that advert's so good.
For the Tiempo. And that was apparently the first YouTube video to get 1 million views.
Really?
That's
Apparently.
a fact.
Do you know that was
yeah.
all shot in one take as well?
Yeah, it's mental.
He hit it 3 times, didn't he? It was just like on the half volley.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my cool fact for the day. But
That's pretty cool.
First ever video on YouTube to hit 1 million.
allegedly,
views.
yeah.
Okay.
Sums up Ronaldinho, to be
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah, I mean, sums up just sort of that Brazilian
Yeah, I mean,
generation.
I'd be happy to go with the Tiempo because I think, like I said, the Vapor is better than the Superfly, and the reason you see it is it's not just me that says it; it's the actual pros.
I think
There's
so.
a
as
lot
well.
more pros that wear the Vapors than the Superfly.
I just think the Superfly, it's a very it's a marketing boot. Like it is, so commonly associated and intrinsically linked to Ronaldo. And I know Neymar switched from the Hypervenom to the Mercurial. It wasn't the Superfly, it was the Vapors, but he still switched from the Hypervenom to the Mercurials. And I think that was I don't see many people owning them other than kids. It's a kid's boot, really, the Superflies. The sock has nothing to do with performance enhancement, really. And when you actually wear them, they're very rigid. They're not fluent to your foot, which is an issue I'm going to come on to in the next bracket anyway. But I just don't think they're very good playability, whereas the Tiempo, it almost molds to your foot. As you say, there's so many iconic pros, mostly defenders and midfielders that have worn the Tiempos, but even then the original Andy Carroll,
yeah.
but the original Tiempos with Ronaldinho as the pioneer behind them, I think I can't get past the aesthetic. It's so simple but effective, and it's they're very comfy as well from all accounts. So
I
that's
don't think you
got to
could
go
go
in for its
wrong. They're
favour.
just pretty
I
reliable.
wanted to actually ask,
Apart from my one.
sort of going with the rest of the boots that we're going to discuss. How much of your decision is based on aesthetic, and how much of it is based on comfort and in terms of your own experience wearing them?
I mean, there's a fine line between the two, is it? I don't know. I think both of them matter. I don't think there's a formula to it really. It is just I don't know. Obviously they are, both of them are really important, and it's important for nostalgia and that not to cloud your judgment. But yeah.
No,
I mean, it is a factor though, isn't it? When you
Yeah.
look at nostalgia, if you look at the classic boots that we're going to be discussing, nostalgia is 110%.
you're right. I
factor,
mean, it
isn't
also comes into the fact that we are quite young
Yeah.
as individuals. Other than Sid, we are all quite young.
the same age
So,
as Sid, so
Sid was here when boots were black and white, and
Yeah, man.
they were just
he saw the
big
King
lumps
Henry
of-
boots.
pig level. Just-
Yeah, you were there when gloves were gardening gloves, so you've been about. But it's a case of I think a lot of our childhood was growing up with these boots, and we were the consumers that were consuming the boots that the adverts were tailored to.
Yeah.
Flashy colorways. I've got on my screen here the red and those purple half and half Mercurials, which is the ones I commonly associate Ronaldo with. And it's just, I don't know. I think nostalgia is going to have a massive influence in it, but I also think your own personal experience with the boots, if you've had them, and also an objective position of whether you actually think that looks nice or not.
Yeah. I think a lot of the boots that we would have worn and bought when we were younger would have been based on sort of what's trending, which is
What our favourite player wears.
yeah, what our favourite player was, what's trending,
you're gonna
what
find
looks cool, what looks cool in school.
You're going to find that a lot about me.
So,
I've got one.
So Tiempo's
Particular.
one,
Tiempo's the winner.
Quite-
Yeah.
Tiempo's
quite
going through
unanimous.
there.
No problem. Right. Now the next one is a little bit similar to the first one, where there is a bit of a mismatch here. It's a bit of a Liverpool versus Southampton. Mercurial Vapors. Sorry. Copa Mundial versus Puma Evo Power. Now the Puma Evo Power, I want to start on first, right? Because I want to talk a little bit about the multicolored one that were released. I believe it was about a decade ago, and Olivier Giroud was one of the players that wore it. I'm very much against that, and I know a couple of you may not be,
I didn't mind it.
but I think it looks weird. I think it looks weird. I'm just putting it out there.
Why? Why do you think it looks weird? Do you think they should?
I think they need to be one color. I think they need to be one color. I think just on the eye, watching it, sort of from the telly, etc. It just looks a little bit
I
peculiar.
think it was a good marketing play.
I understand
anyway.
that
You
it's
look at
different.
I
Yeah,
understand
you
it's
look-
different,
bloody hell,
but different doesn't
I
necessarily
mean,
mean it's good.
they apparently did it to mirror the unpredictable nature of some footballers. That is what it was for.
I
Allegedly.
don't mind it. It does stand out. I've got them on the screen. It does stand out pretty well, and they are very distinctive.
And there was a...
Go on. Sorry.
There was... it's also... So unpredictable nature of players, but also apparently there was a Cameroonian player called Rigobert Song who used to wear 2 different football boots, and that was...
Can you name me a club he played for?
I can't, no. But I can...
Next guest on the podcast.
I can name him.
He's probably quite obtainable as well.
Rigobert Song apparently was one of the players that... Well, he was the sort of trendsetter, you could say.
Yeah, he's the pioneer. He started it all.
But yeah, like we said, I think the Copa Mundial is a...
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, look, it seems like you guys are relatively fond of the Puma Evo Power, but unfortunately they are up against a bit of a giant in the Copa Mundial, so, you know, it will be the Copa Mundial.
I think if you see a player...
It's hard.
I don't think it is.
The Copas, like, this will link into a story possibly later on, but the Copa Mundials, are they the ones that I bought from... No, different ones.
The Copa Mundials are the OG
they're these ones, aren't they? Yeah, no. I think it is a mismatch, actually. I like the idea from the Puma boots. I like the idea of being different and, that idea that it mimics the unpredictability of it is cool, I guess. But no, the Mundials, looking at them, they are a staple.
If you turn up to like a Sunday League game and you're playing against a centre mid old guy who's got some Mundials on.
He's
a long day.
You know he can dictate the game. He's got a ping on him.
It is a long day.
I think it's pretty simple.
Yeah, I agree.
Actually, obviously, at the minute, we've had Adidas, we've had Nike, and we've had Puma. Now, in the next round, there's a new kid on the playground, which is the Mizuno boots. And they are up against the Mercurial Vapors, who obviously Sid says are better than the Superflies, which I personally don't agree with. But, Sid, I'm going to start with you with this one.
Yeah, I mean, much more of a closer game, if you want to say. But I think, the Mizuno's sort of a real hipster's choice of boot. They are known for their premium K leather that they use, and they are meant to be really, really good. I can't say I've tried them myself because they are pretty expensive.
Yeah, they are very,
like 500
very expensive.
quid retail, which is ridiculous.
I can't say I've tried them myself, so I'm not too sure how they actually perform. But I do know the craftsmanship that goes into them. It isn't just I don't know how. No. But yeah, it's not just it's not just for mass production. It is. Yeah. There's real craftsmanship that goes into it.
They are apparently a very high quality.
Yeah, and they're highly regarded. But I mean, I think I'd still go Mercurial Vapor because if these Mizuno boots were so good, you see every pro wearing them. And you just I mean, it's fair, that might not be true because the marketing and the sponsorship doesn't go into it.
Yeah, of course.
But I think I'd go Mercurial Vapor.
What do you think? What do you think, Rian?
In all honesty, I think the fact that it is so hard to get puts me off a little bit because, if I'm sort of debating 2 football boots, I want to know what I can wear and what will feel best as I'm playing it. Yeah, and I've owned Vapors, hence why I prefer Superfly, mainly because I've just enjoyed my personal experience with it more. So I can't judge Mizuno boots apart from aesthetics, and even with aesthetics, I think Mercurial Vapors wins.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, it's 2-1. I am actually going to go with the Mizunos for the sole purpose of this is a complete nostalgia bias in my mind, and when I was one of the first football games I ever played was PES 13. Okay. Unreal soundtrack, by the way. If you ever want a good soundtrack to listen to, what a soundtrack! Only 5 songs. Anyway, so with the Mizunos, they had the Create a Pro and the Create Your Club before FIFA did, and that was the only way you can ever put yourself in the game. Mm-hmm. And when I had PES 13, I had it on the Xbox 360, and when I created my player, I always gave him those Mizunos. There was particularly a white, I believe it was either a blue overall colour to it, and the white on the little kangaroo, but a dark blue, those ones. You can't see it, but those ones. And
we'll put them up on the screen for you.
Yeah, we'll try to. And I loved them. Whereas the Vapors, again, I just think they're a kid's boot. No. I know people wear them more than the Superflies, and I know that they are probably Nike's flagship sort of boot, but I don't know. I'm gonna go with the Mizunos. My vote's wasted anyway because you two are gonna overrule me.
I've got to back the Vapors just because
they are cool.
So I've got a pair of black mainly black with a gold tick.
Mercurial
Vapors, the ACC ones, they're actually proper ones.
They're nice.
I actually
very
got
nice.
so I got them just before uni, so about 2022 summer. Yeah, 2022 summer. I went to a charity shop in Muswell Hill, and I managed to pick them up for about 15 quid.
Nice.
So that was one of my best
That's a
purchases.
banger.
Yeah,
Fair
so
No,
15 quid for a pair of Mercurial
You see,
Vapors.
I like the like vapors that kind of like accompanied the Superflies. I thought they were really nice. Were like the general design, the big tick going from the toe box to the back of the boot. But when it went to like the smaller ones, like when they changed it for the to accompany like the Hypervenom Freeze and those evolutions, the smaller tick, I just didn't like it. I don't know. It's just
I think
it's a personal
it
stylistic choice, but-
represents the general shift in football boots, though, in that, you know, I think Nike have been essentially the pioneers when it comes to the really, really flashy style, where they've kind of appealed to what's bold, what looks brave, what's gonna, you know, catch the eyes, and I think it comes down to preference of nostalgia, or if it's something that's, you know, by sheer aesthetics. Now, okay, that's fine. Unfortunately, you've been outvoted, so the Vapors go through.
I lose that round, so.
Now, the next one is a little bit, again, I feel like there's not much of a debate here, which is the Puma King against the Under Armour, which is, I think, the Magnetico, that's the one.
Magnetico.
Now, I'm going to have a little bit of a defense for the Under Armour
Oh, you
Magnetico.
what was that?
I don't think they look bad. However, the fact that they did, one of them did explode during a game isn't exactly a good look.
You don't really want your boot to kamikaze halfway through,
not in a football match, and you know,
I mean,
especially
what-
with
what-
Granite Xhaka
Yeah,
having
I was
quite a
just-
few Xhaka booms that you don't. That's the last
Yeah, I
thing you
was
want
gonna
for
say,
your boots to come off.
What
so.
player more suited to it than Granit
Yeah,
Xhaka?
than
But
Granit
then,
Xhaka.
but then I do have to argue with that. Like, I can't remember what boot it was exactly, but do you remember in the Spurs Chelsea game, Cucurella's boots exploded?
Yeah.
Like, I think they are, like, some boots just are, like, susceptible to it at times. Like,
I think you just slip.
well, I don't know, no, because
It
it's
just
like
slip
whole,
loads.
like, its whole soul, like, came off the boot.
Yeah. It
So,
did.
I don't know.
Oh,
had to change boots.
That's what's it called. That's a different. That's just the upper and the sole plate splitting. But this boot actually just like completely popped
During a game,
During
yeah.
a game, it was for Switzerland against Greece. It says.
Yeah.
It was luckily. I say luckily, it's still not a marketing nightmare for Under Armour. Luckily, it was an international friendly.
Yeah.
But if this happened in like a World Cup quarter final or something,
It's curtains for Under
yeah,
Armour,
I'm sure some people are
unfortunately.
getting sacked or something. Because, but
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
I'm sure Under Armour will have better days, because I do think they're one of the more sort of emerging brands, along
They
with
had a-
sort of the New Balances.
They had a
Obviously
very good
nowadays you've got the
2010s.
Skechers.
Like when they sponsored Tottenham with their kits,
Yeah,
and
they
when they towards like the mid 2010s, they really came into their own as a brand, as a sports brand as well. Like particularly with their clothing, the football boots never really took off to the same heights as a lot of others. Like I know New Balance particularly took off a lot better than what Under Armour did, but they did do quite well throughout the 2010s as a brand, really. But yeah, it's
yeah,
just going
Puma
against
King.
the Puma King.
It is the Puma
I
King.
don't
One
think
of the
not
goats.
much needs to be said. It's,
No,
it's
not
a
at all.
pretty,
I think we move on now to, I think this is going to be one of the more interesting ones of the round of 16,
Right.
which is the CTR 360s versus the Aces Laceless.
Hmm.
Now I'm going to let you two.
Yeah, this is a really, really
Go at it
tough
with
one
this
for me
one.
because, like I said, this was my intended first boot.
Right.
Didn't end up being my first boot. So it's my intended first boot versus my favourite boot of all time that I had.
Which one's which?
So CTR 360 is my intended first boot. I didn't end up getting it, but the laceless Aces 16 plus, I had it in the white and gold colourway. So I just think of the
Pogba had them, didn't they?
yeah, Mesut Ozil, Dele Alli, Pogba. I think Mata might have worn them as well.
They were good.
Just for how they looked, I thought they were unbelievably cool. In terms of actual performance, I think CTR 360s are better.
Okay.
I'll say that for sure. I think CTR 360s were so cool. I think even like Arsenal's midfield in the 2010, we had Fabregas, Wilshere.
It's like
and-
they're
so
very
I'm-
similar
yeah,
to like
so
T90s.
I'm pretty much on
Lovely.
midfield war room, so I was very much into them. And I think their aesthetic, they're white and sort of burgundy, but it's like a sort of metallic chrome burgundy ones. They were just so cool.
They strike me as a proper midfielder's boots.
They are, and there was
Controller's boots.
there was a limited edition re-release in about 2023, and they sold out pretty much instantly and were like pretty expensive. I think they were like 400 quid for them, but they really re-released the yellow ones. But yeah, it's a really tough one. I've not even made a decision yet because like I said, the laceless ones, I think they're probably like, you think of 2014 when the sock boot came out. You think of 2016, 17. That was the big thing. Like the laces, everyone's like, "What the hell?"
It was a new thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a new thing.
It was really
So,
cool. It's just such a cool idea.
Yeah.
Tell you what, I'll give you a second. I'll let Taylor speak about the laces because I know you've got some thoughts on it, and then I'll come back to you as well.
My thoughts and opinions are that the CTR 360 I never owned, and I think is a really like retro and iconic boot. I think that the CTR 360, I'm quite certain, I could be wrong, that the Tiempo was the continuation
Not Tiempo.
of the 360. But
No, it was the I got it here somewhere. It was they became Magistas.
oh, Magistas, right?
yeah.
But even then, Magista's a great boot as well. But the CTR 360s, they look really cool. As you say, they are like the midfielder sort of centre half boot again. And as Sid has said or alluded to, that they perform well. The laceless, I have really mixed opinions on, because when they came out, the whole marketing with the smash it, that was like amazing. When like Ozil like booted chewing gum at a camera, and
those
as
adverts
realistic
were
as that like
unbelievable.
actually is, like it was amazing.
The F2 Halme assist
Those
ones as well.
green,
That
the green ones, the blue ones, those gold and black ones were beautiful, and they kind of accompanied Pogba's return to Man United. Like, they were amazing boots. However, and it's going to be slightly skewed my opinion on them, because obviously I've owned 2 pairs of laceless boots, both of the same colorway, and they were indoor boots as opposed to outdoor, so they were Court and Astros, and I do not feel comfortable playing in them. Wearing them, they're fine, and they look so cool as an aesthetic, but you know, the whole element of the Aces, particularly the Aces, which are the ones I owned, was pure control. That was what they were designated as and what they were titled as. And I just don't feel like I controlled the ball well with my first touch. Whereas I've got a pair of Predators that I currently own. I've worn the Hypervenoms, the bronze ones, Hypervenom 2s, the Neymar Hypervenoms, those zebra ones. And when I take my first touch on that ball, it's slightly different because it's outdoor boot to indoor boot, but I just don't feel comfortable wearing the pure controls. I just don't. So I'm going to go for the CTR 360s, despite the fact I've never played in them.
I feel slightly different because the lace ones I had, if you hit the ball with that bit, with the little laceless bit, the strike you get feels so good, honestly. And I think it does help you control somewhat. Maybe not like a massively noticeable thing, but I don't think, But you say CTR 360, I'll go laceless.
All right, you're the deciding vote then, Mr. Sadman.
Well, I think it comes down to, I think a general shift in sort of the modern boots have been a lot to do with what's new, what's innovative. Whereas obviously with the CTR being a little bit more of a classic, I think a lot of those are far more performance based, which I think is just a general shift in terms of how the boots industry has gone. Now, I'm going to be with Taylor with this one because I've also owned laceless ones, and I completely agree that it...
Which ones did you have?
Sorry,
just to interrupt, but...
The same ones that you have, actually.
See, mine I have. What, currently have?
Yeah,
Or?
the
Yeah,
ones
I like
that's
them.
at your gaff,
The
yeah.
ones, my first ones were the ones that accompanied the Champions League final 2017, the Juve Real Madrid one. And they were like, they had the dragon on them. I've got a picture which I will put up on screen. But I loved them. I loved how they looked. But
looks-wise, fine, no problem. I'm
It's a shame.
quite comfortable to say that looks-wise, laces are better.
I will also say as well, they do peel.
Yeah.
When you kick a ball, like you might like catch it wrong or something, or like when you like might, I don't know if it's just me being an absolute idiot with how I kick a ball, but you do like the paint on it does come off.
Yeah.
I don't like them.
They haven't lasted me very long as well. So I am going to go with the CTR 360. So Taylor's been outvoted once. You've been outvoted
No, it's fair.
once
Have
as well.
that,
So
mate.
I just said it to give you the final
Inject
vote,
it.
'cause I think I can
Cheers,
vote
thanks.
myself.
Swivel on it.
cheers, that's it. Right. Okay. Now, I believe this is the next bracket.
This is
okay.
an interesting one.
This is, honestly, I'm going to let you guys go on this one. The Nike T90s versus the CR7 Leopard style.
Oh yeah.
T90s all the way.
T9. Do we need to discuss this one?
The leopards were a good idea in the sense that they were very striking, very unique. They just look absolutely disgusting.
That's the only.
They're very
way
prima donna.
They don't look nice.
I think T90 sort of defined the whole era, didn't they?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the early 2000s.
They weren't just football boots. They
mid-2000s.
became kits. They became a whole clothing.
I'm very excited for them to remake the T90s this year, particularly with the kits. I'm very, very, very excited for that. That they're going to look beautiful. I've got the Portugal. Obviously, we know it, but I've got the Portugal 2004 Euros kit with Luis Figo on the back, and oh my god, that kit is stunning. So I'm very excited to see them come back. Even the football was like really good. Like that whole like package was amazing.
It's the T90s.
It's
isn't it?
easy,
Yeah. Now then, Hypervenoms versus the F50s.
No.
I think that's easy. I think that's F50s all day.
Really? I see. I go Hypervenoms.
Easy. F50s all day. I don't think the Hypervenoms were that great, to be honest. I think.
Discuss.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I don't think. I think the Hypervenoms were cool, but I think they've become the Phantom Visions, and the Phantom Vision ones that I owned were unbelievable, like 10 times better than the Hypervenom ones that I owned. And I don't like the so obviously most premium night boots use Flyknit, but the Hypervenoms use like I think it's called Nike skin. I just didn't like it. It was so rigid, so
Yeah, no,
really
I do hear
really
that.
stiff. And I think the F50s were so good.
Did you
Like-
have the sock one, or was it?
Yeah,
lower?
I've had both.
Yeah, same.
But I prefer the F50s because I think the F50s are unbelievable. I think some of the, you think of the messy ones from like 2012, 13, those sort of 2014, 15, those sort of ones. Even like the microchip that they had in it, which
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah,
remember
of
that,
course.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
that was cool.
I remember I saw that they were marketing it with like this microchip. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. So I went to Sports Direct with my mum again. Thank you.
Poor woman.
I know.
She's been through the
Yeah.
ringer for you in shoes.
I
hasn't she?
went to Sports
God.
Direct to buy a pair of F50s, expecting the microchip to be in there, and I was just sort of looking in the sole. I was like, "Where the hell were these?"
Well, you start like tearing apart the
so-
boot, just scrambling to try and find a
I
microchip.
thought there'd be a little chip in there, and it like says I don't know. I think it says the distance you covered in a game. Those sorts of like
That's
metrics,
cool. That's
but,
really cool.
I think they became one of the light. They are the one in the lightest boots. So I think all day F50.
I go Hypervenoms from owning them. I think it's hard because when I was younger, I believe they partnered. It was 2013, 2014. I think they were partnering Messi either before or slightly after the World Cup in Brazil. And I showed Ruhan earlier. They were the blue. Oh no, they were the white, entirely white, green sole plate. Adidas F50 Messi boots, and they had like their little pink and blue speckles with the black Adidas logo, and they are some of the nicest boots I've ever worn. They weren't mine; they were my friend Mike, who when I knew him, he played for Shrewsbury Town, but he was an excellent footballer. Lovely pair of boots. That is what I'll say. He had the indoor court ones, and I was very jealous of those boots. However, I have owned more Hypervenoms than I have any other form of boot. I had the bronze Hypervenom 2s, the Phantoms, the low cut ones, and they were excellent. I loved playing in them. The Neymar Zebra boots, they were amazing. They are my favourite boots I've ever worn, ever.
Really?
But then I also had the Hypervenom Freeze, the sock boots, and it was like the grey and like red, sort of half and half. I believe it's grey and red, half and half boot. And I have just never felt more comfortable, more fluent, more confident wearing a boot ever. Like, you know, obviously Neymar was the pioneer of that boot, and growing up, it's a Neymar kit. I was a big Neymar fan, and I just love that boot. So I am very personal bias from playing it. I also think the aesthetic of like little like shark teeth.
It's a nice boot.
It's beautiful, like the colorways they had. You know, there's the Galaxy one that accompanied those like blue polka dotty sort of like mercurials, but the Hypervenom was a purple one. You have the lovely sort of like bronze ones, the chrome ones. I just think they're beautiful. The all black ones as well. The Night did
looks
was
like the vote's
stunning.
down to you. So
Will that come back down
I'm
to
going
me?
Hypervenom.
Right, okay. See, this one's a bit harder than the last one where obviously I had to, you know, pick. But I've owned so many more F50s.
Don't do this to me.
I'm sorry, but I
Oh.
do. Look. I know my
No,
favorite.
don't.
My
It's the right
favorite.
decision.
It's not.
It's the right decision. It's the right decision.
Oh, don't listen
Let me
to
one
this.
second.
Don't listen
Once,
to this like
hang on a minute.
crocodile
right, new
tears
idea.
tactic.
Behind
Go.
the cameras. Behind the cameras.
Yeah.
You guys decide. Jamie Oliver Rocco. Which one wins? The Hypervenoms or the
government
F50s?
name, by the way. Jesus. What do you think?
Yeah.
All right,
come
there's
on.
another one.
No,
Pizza.
it's 3-1. It's 3-1.
Oh, I don't care. Like, back me up at least. But do you think the Messi or like the F50s are better than the Hypervenoms?
Oh, wow.
Three,
I've
4-1.
actually
It's
been
a
like
whitewash.
that.
It's a whitewash.
I've been.
It's
I've
not
been
Not
like.
even close.
You know that picture of like Messi dribbling at the Italian, like the Italian team? That's me. And even then he had F50. Oh, just sod it. Do you know what? Just get on with it. That's so annoying because I love them boots so much.
Well, do you know what? Sometimes, you know,
What do you mean what? Do you just say what?
sometimes, you know, tournament favourites go out early.
Let's crack on.
That
Yeah,
happens.
Death.
let's
It's
crack
a group
Now,
of death.
quarterfinals, we're gonna. This is, you know, we've got rid of the journeymen here. I think
This is the heavyweight.
this is the heavyweight clashes, and to begin, the Predators versus the Tiempos.
Yeah. I think I'll go Predators with that.
I'll also go Predators from wearing them. I have them now, and they're not like old Predators. They're more modern Predators.
Yeah.
But they just like wearing them. They just suit exactly what I want to do. They're just beautiful.
It
They're
says a lot
perfect.
that they've come back as well.
Oh yeah, the fact they've been rebranded is amazing.
I mean, you think I mean,
the Hypervenoms have been
you think
rebranded.
Zidane.
You're not letting go of that, are you?
You think Zidane, Beckham, but for me, like, I'd think of, I don't know why, first player I think of when I think of
Zidane.
Predators, it's not Zidane, it's
I
Van
go
Persie for me.
Oh, that's cool.
Fair enough.
Because I think,
like that.
I think
like that.
2011-12, he was like unbelievable. And I think, I remember I had the black and orange pair, and there was
Cool.
sort of like Champions League pair that was like white with like a
Cold.
sort of I don't know, metallic, sort of like silvery,
Yeah,
sort of purpley stripes, and they were sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean they've made their return, so
I'm also going Predators. From owning the ones I have, I just think they fit my foot perfectly.
They're very comfortable.
They, you know, you can get a size up and it doesn't feel like you're playing with like a massive gap in between your foot and the edge of the toe box. It's, you know, I just think they're brilliant. The way you strike a ball, the way you can curl a ball, they're just perfect.
Well, I can prove
love
that.
the
I can prove
Predators.
that because
I love
I've
the
worn
Predators.
Taylor's boots and he's a size above mine and they fit perfectly. So yeah,
Big feet, mate.
fair enough.
That's all
No.
it is.
Copa
Look.
Mundial versus the Vapors.
I mean that's yeah.
I'll go
that's a hard
Vapors.
one. Yeah, I think I'll go Vapors.
Pure
Now, I know
nostalgia.
there's nostalgia bias there a little. I know there
is.
is. I know there's nostalgia as a factor, but it comes down to it. I just think Vapors look nicer.
I think they're better.
I think they're cool.
Like, they
I
just
think they're
do-
really
do
cool.
look nicer.
Like,
I
I know
appreciate-
I preferred the opposing option to the Vapors, but they are like really cool. They are inherently cool, and at the same time, it is a case of like, I'm sure if we were a different generation of consumer, we would probably prefer the Mundials
Mundial,
to the Vapors, but the Vapors.
No,
Cool.
but even
I like
then,
Vapors.
yeah,
I think it's
I
quite a
see
good-
People are, I
yeah.
see people our age wearing Copa Mundials. But,
I think it's quite a good epitome of sort of the Nike versus Adidas like
Yeah.
discrepancy there. Isn't
I
it?
think I'll go.
Yeah, 100%.
Vapors. Just
Vapors. I think that's unanimous there. If I'm being honest.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
there are some very interesting
Go on,
semi-finals
who's
coming
next?
on here. Then, right, the next one we've got the Puma King versus the CTR 360.
Puma King.
Puma King.
That's a pretty.
It is the godfather of boots,
Of
isn't
boots.
it?
It's the
Pele.
only reason I would
yeah,
say.
you,
Maradona.
you know quite a lot about the boot.
Yeah, it's the Pele. Obviously, it's you know when they did the
Pele
Pele Pact in the 1970s World Cup, where he sort of tied down.
You did a.
He did
You were
his.
referring to that in an article, if I'm
I
not
did.
mistaken.
I
Check
did,
it out on
I
the
did,
Kitroom
so-
Collective website. Big
Indeed.
time.
Where it was basically the start of football fashion as we know it. It was sort of the beginning of sponsorships, how they work now, and it's something you just can't ignore. I don't think so. I think
Yeah,
it would
definitely.
it'd be criminal if the Puma Kings didn't make it to at least the semi-finals.
100%. You know,
Is this the
what
last?
CTR 360s, cool. Puma Kings, Maradona,
Yeah.
Cruyff, Pele. Oh,
There's
what
too
an
much heritage
ensemble.
there. There's
It's
too
like-
much heritage.
I think there's a picture that I do actually have access to, so I will put on screen. It's when Pele, I believe he met, it was either the president or like the royal family, and it was like a Puma launch about the boot.
Yeah.
How sick is that?
Yeah.
That he met like some sort of royal family or some sort of like presidency over a football boot.
Yeah.
How sick is that?
It's incredible.
Like-
It's incredible. It's the Puma King. CTR 360. You were a good
What
dude.
a footballer.
Yeah.
Even though
You were-
goals
you
scored in
were a
friendlies,
good dude.
but we'll ignore that.
Now then, T90s versus F50s.
Wow.
That's the final. It's the final quarter-final.
Out of the two, I'll go F50s again for
Yeah,
personal
I
bias.
think I go with 50s again.
T90s though
are
deserve some love.
Very chunky boot. It's like literally the chunkiest boot you can get versus one of the lightest boots you can get.
What, they're quite flat on your feet, or?
Yeah, well, maybe.
It's interesting. We've flown through the quarterfinals because we've all agreed one of them. That's
Yeah.
good,
Yeah, we
which
have
is
actually. It's been
handy.
quite unanimous.
Now the semi-final, I think, is actually going to be a little bit more divisive. I'd hope so, at least for the content's sake. Now the first semi-final we've got is the Predators versus the Vapor.
Predator versus Vapor.
I'm going Predator because I've worn the Predators, and I think they're some of the most era-defining boots that have ever been released.
I think
The Puma Kings, the T90s, to be fair, like particularly like Ronaldo's, like I know they weren't T90s, but Ronaldo's Mercurials are another one. Like R9's Mercurials.
Yeah,
Wow.
they're Vapors.
Yeah, they were.
That's what
amazing.
I'm saying. So
but
I think you're under.
I don't know.
I think you're underestimating how big the Vapors have been. Like they've been around.
You're right. You
So
are right.
long.
I think
And
this is a proper toss-up.
And the thing that I say.
I've done an article on
the thing
R9
that I
as well.
The thing that I say is that, so for every single boot you can name, so obviously the Predators, the T90s, any boot, literally even the F50s, they became the X's. All of them have been rebranded into different boots. But the one constant is the Mercurial. That doesn't change, and I don't know why. Well, I sort of know why, because it's such a
It's
iconic,
a
it's so
huge
good,
seller.
and you can't change it. And the Vapor's been maybe not the jewel in the crown because they've been trying to sell the Superfly more. But it is the choice of the Mercurial.
What do you think?
I think the Mercurial, you have to back it just because how long it's been here for and how just important it is.
I think the only way I can possibly split between the two is my preference of Nike and Adidas generally, because they're both unbelievable boots. They're both unbelievable, and I completely hear Sid's point about, there is only one. Do you know what I mean? It hasn't been replicated because they can't be. But I think the Predator edge it for me. I think it just about does it.
Why have you left it up to me? Because I like them both. The Predators, I love wearing. I love wearing. They're not my favourite boot I've worn, but they're really, they're top two, easily. But I did do an article on R9, and available in the print edition. I did do an article on R9, and oh God, he really did. He was like the first major footballer to be associated with a football boot. So like all the like synonymous football boot partnerships that have come and gone now are as a result of just Ronaldo Nazario being as good as what he was. And those boots, the blue, chrome, silverish, oh, they're so nice. But then the original Predators are amazing. Like the black and red ones with that tongue. Oh,
The Predators,
all on you, mate.
I'm
All
saying
on
the
you.
Predators have been and gone.
but they're back. That's the thing.
they
Is
took
that
a-
not
they-
how good they are?
They
that
took a
bring them
10-year
back for
sabbatical. They took a
Yeah,
10-year
but that
sabbatical
isn't,
when they
isn't
came
that
back.
like they come back? Is that not how good they are? That
I mean,
they
that was-
come back with a
I
vengeance.
mean, obviously they're a
And
good.
they're sick
Obviously
to
they're a good
wear.
boot, but I'm just saying that Mercurial's been around since.
I'm going
the dawn of
Mercurial.
time,
I'm going
pretty much.
Mercurial. I'm
All
going
right, so
Mercurial. I love those Mercurials.
I've been outvoted once as well, so that's okay. That makes me feel slightly better. Everyone's been outvoted at least once. So, the Vapor are in the final. The next one, Puma King versus the F50.
I'm going to go F50s
Yeah.
So am I.
because
Fair enough. Yeah.
Look, Puma Kings, as we've discussed, in terms of they were the first they were the sort of the pioneer of football fashion as we know it, in my opinion. I think the sort of the intersection between the two industries, the Puma Kings was a key player in that, much like Pele was in the 1970s. So, whilst I appreciate that,
I've
the
got personal
F50s,
bias.
50.
it is F50. Again,
I
from
mean,
personal
I think
bias. And I think they look nicer.
Messi's iconic in himself. So
Yeah,
I mean
they look
that,
nice.
that's quite a final.
Those white Messi F50s, they're the first boot I ever felt jealous of someone else having.
Yeah.
F50s for me.
Perfect.
That's quite a final though.
Yeah.
That is the
That's
final.
a sick one.
Now then, the F50
F50s.
versus the Vapor. For this one, the entire crew will vote.
Oh, right.
As it's the final.
So,
There's
the
5
big
of
winner.
us. So this is the big winner. I'm going to start with you, Sid.
Yeah, I'll go with Vapor, I think. Yeah, I mean, F50's been discontinued. They're now the X's.
They are now the X's.
So,
Although they brought them back because Yamal has a pair of F50s and he is the pioneer behind those now. So he has brought them back. The Adidas have brought them back.
I mean, yeah, he's literally quite literally the reincarnation of Messi, if you want to put it that
well,
way.
yeah, he's
So,
blessed by football's god himself. So.
I'll go Vapor just because, again, it's been around so long. And, like, you can't imagine, like, Nike ever stopping the Mercurial, can you?
No.
Like, there's
no,
always
they
a
won't
market for it.
No,
I
you are
suppose.
correct in that. Yeah, that is so true.
I think you think of the Puma Kings, the Copperman, the Owls, maybe the T90s even. They've all had like their heyday,
Yeah.
and maybe I don't want to say the peak of the Mercurial because it's not quite like a peak
Yeah.
and troughs, but like they've never had like an amazing like apart from the Mercurial, maybe the R9s, but it's just been consistent and you can never get past it.
Taylor?
I can't get over it. That's it. I'll put it on screen. That is it. That's the boot I'd be like so jealous of. Obviously, 9-10 years old, naturally going to be jealous of like flashy
Colours.
I had
Yeah.
them boots. They
Oh,
were sick.
sod
They
yeah.
are
I
beautiful.
loved them.
Do you remember there was like a red and white pair as well of the F50s that had that
Them.
Messi had like that.
Them ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were nice. I'll put them on screen as well. These like leopardy ones, hate.
Yeah.
Those ones, adore. Those black and
So that's
gold
got to go
ones.
into your decision though. You can't just pick the best one. You got to think of the worst as well. And I can't think of any that bad Mercurials, Vapors anyway.
No, but there are like. Oh, you're right.
I forgot about them leopard
Is
ones.
this childhood nostalgia or is this practicality talking?
I think it's
I've
got.
never.
I don't think it's. I think the Vapors are clearly. Like,
Yeah, I'm actually from where because I've got to go with what I've worn, and I've worn the F50s. I've never had a Vapor. I've never worn the
I mean,
Vapor.
have the Vapors had an easy route to the final? Or have they come up against?
They come a couple.
The Vapor have
Super-
come up against the Tiempo,
I mean,
Copa Mundial.
Predators.
Yeah, they've had a tough
I'm
run.
going F50s.
Okay.
I am actually going F50s. Despite my initial vote in the first round, I'm going F50s. I am going F50s.
I'm going to also back the F50 just because of the Adidas
Rocker!
bias, if I'm being honest. Now, Jamie Oliver Rocker.
What are you saying?
F50.
wow, it's fun.
Okay, well, I mean, Peter, unfortunately, it doesn't really matter, but which one do you prefer?
Which one?
F50s or
F50s
Vapor?
or Mercurials? F50s
Wow,
as well.
fair
4-1.
enough.
A 4-1 victories for the F50, which means the F50 has won.
Officially the best boot ever.
Is officially the best boot ever,
It's good.
according to the Kitroom Collective.
No, it's official. It's official.
It's
yeah.
I mean, it's
That's
not
got a
according to
stamp
us.
on it.
Yeah,
So
F50s. Congratulations. Now, unfortunately, we have run out of time. It's been a fantastic discussion.
I've enjoyed this a lot.
Boys, it's been
I hope you
great.
enjoyed listening as well.
Yeah, like I said, be sure to check out our online, our social media platform. We're going to be uploading on TikTok and Instagram very, very frequently as well. And of course, the print edition, which is going to be amazing once that is out. So, to all the viewers, thank you very much for watching. And once again, to the Fox and Duck, thank you very much for hosting. Till then,